The Insta360 X4, the Go 3S or the Ace Pro. If I could only choose one of these three cameras, then I would pick... Wait, we need to discuss this in more detail, also because the perfect choice also depends very much on your individual needs. So let's find out which would be the perfect camera for you. Firstly, I'll show you which special features and strengths each of the three camera has compared to the other two, but also what weaknesses each camera has. Then we will take a look at a few comparison shots, and to make the choice a little easier for you, at the end of the video I've created 5 categories of users and will assign the ideal camera to each category. Let's start with the X4. What makes it special and what are its major strengths compared to the Go 3S and the Ace Pro? The Insta360 X4, along with the X3, is probably Insta360's most popular and successful camera, and for good reason. In the consumer space, the X4 is definitely the best 360 camera you can buy. But what makes this camera so special? Unlike the Ace Pro and the Go 3S, it has 2 image sensors and 2 lenses. In other words, 2 cameras. The images from the 2 cameras are then merged into a 360 image. This has 3 decisive advantages. You can take 360 shots with the X4, in which you can look around freely. Or you can take a 360 shot, not have to worry about framing, and can then freely select the framing in post and export a traditional video clip in a typical format from your shot. This means that although you end up with a traditional video clip, you have complete freedom in the choice of the framing. The third advantage of the X4 is that the selfie stick automatically disappears from the image. Yes, it's true, this also works with the Ace Pro, but in the case of the Ace Pro, it's a completely artificial and digital effect, as if you were removing the selfie stick from the image in Photoshop. The effect must be applied to each clip individually in the app, and it is still relatively easy to recognize later where the selfie stick was removed. Things are different with the X4. Here the selfie stick is removed automatically and the result is significantly better. This is mainly made possible by the overlapping images of the 2 extremely wide lenses. And the reframing and the invisible selfie stick effect, in combination with the many mounts for the X4, enable very special and creative shots that are only possible in this form with a 360 camera. If this freedom and these creative shooting angles appeal to you, the X4 is the camera of choice. Until now, reframing has had the decisive disadvantage of significantly reducing the resolution, as you are basically using only a cutout of the 360 image. This is also true for the X4, but the X4 is the first high-quality 360 camera that can take 360 shots in the extremely high resolution of 8K. You can then select the optimal framing and export a 4K clip, even if the actual resolution is closer to 2.7K. The fact is, however, that the reduced resolution due to the reframing is no longer as significant as with the X3, for example. But the X4 also has disadvantages, especially compared to the Ace Pro. The X4 has 2 image sensors, but similar to the Go 3S, these are considerably smaller than the image sensor of the Ace Pro. And even if the size of the sensor is not the only factor that determines the image quality of a recording, it's still very important, and a small sensor has decisive disadvantages, especially in low light. If you don't want to reframe and just need a quick shot, you can also take single lens shots in 4K with the X4. But even in this case, the image quality is of course not fully comparable to that of the Ace Pro. That would be too good to be true. And the X4 has a few more disadvantages in this comparison. Not only is it the biggest of the 3 cameras, but at around $500, it's also the most expensive of the 3. The Go 3S and the Ace Pro both cost around $100 less. By the way, you can find links to all 3 cameras in the video description. The 3 cameras were provided to me by Insta360 for testing purposes. But this video contains no additional paid sponsorship, and all statements are based on my personal opinion. I think that it has already become clear that the Ace Pro's great strength in this comparison is its outstanding image quality. The Ace Pro for an action camera has a relatively large 1/1.3 inch sensor. A larger sensor not only enables better image quality in low light, it also allows for better colors and a better dynamic range. And the detailed 4K image of the Ace Pro has an outstanding dynamic range. In addition, the HDR mode on the Ace Pro has been fantastically integrated into the standard video mode. Burnt out highlights are consistently prevented, but the recording still has sufficient contrast and never has an unrealistic HDR look. It's true that even the X4 features an HDR mode, but this is a separate recording mode that cannot be compared with the HDR feature of the Ace Pro and also has disadvantages in terms of image quality. As mentioned, the Ace Pro's large sensor allows for very good recordings in low light conditions. The Ace Pro has its own recording mode, the pure video mode, for shooting in low light, which enables particularly noise-free results. The image quality of the Ace Pro is therefore superior to the other two cameras, especially in low light. It should be noted that not only the resolution, but also the colors of the X4 and the Go 3S have been improved compared to their predecessors, which has certainly resulted in the image quality of these three cameras now being closer to each other in good lighting conditions. However, the Ace Pro is the first high-quality action camera that can also shoot in 8K, even if 8K is only available in 24 frames per second, and the 8K mode does not only have advantages, it's of course something special to be able to take high-quality shots in this resolution. With the clarity zoom, the Ace Pro has a 2x zoom feature, which is actually a digital crop, but the higher resolution 48 megapixel sensor enables an almost lossless image quality. The good image quality is not the only strength of the Ace Pro. Just like the Go 3S, it has a flip-up display, for example, which is a great advantage when filming yourself. Does the Ace Pro also have disadvantages? Since its release, there has been a lot of discussion about the fact that the lens cover of the Ace Pro is not removable and therefore cannot be replaced by the user. It's true, this is a disadvantage. Insta360 is aware of this and will replace a scratched or damaged lens cover free of charge within 1 year of purchase. You only have to pay the shipping costs. Compared to the other two cameras, it must also be said that the Ace Pro is of course a traditional action camera, and apart from the good image quality, it's nothing extraordinary. It's neither a 360 camera, nor is it as extremely small as the Go 3S. So let's take a look at the Go 3S. What are the major strengths of this mini action camera? I think that's relatively clear. The great thing about the Go 3S is of course its small form factor. But not only that, the whole concept of the Go 3S and the combination with the action pod is very well thought out and makes the small Go 3S an extremely versatile camera. The Go 3S is not only extremely small, it also has magnets on the back and can therefore be attached to metallic surfaces without an additional mount. It also has a locking mechanism to quickly attach it to other magnetic mounts. Yes, the Ace Pro also has a magnetic mount, but no camera can be attached as easily and offers as many mounting options as the Go 3S. This also has to do with the many mounts and accessories that Insta360 offers for the Go 3S. Pivot stand, easy clip, magnet pendant, and so on. And the overall concept with the action pod is simply brilliant. The action pod is not only the charging station for the Go 3S, you can also use it as a remote control with an integrated display for the Go 3S. And of course you can also put the Go 3S in the action pod and use it like a standard action camera, which then has a flip-up display just like the Ace Pro. In addition, the Go 3S has a very special feature. Not only does it have a surprisingly wide field of view, it also has a square sensor. If you shoot in free-frame video mode, you are completely free to decide whether you want to use the recording in a vertical or horizontal format without any additional cropping. The Go 3S is therefore unrivaled in terms of flexibility, and the image quality is also impressive. Compared to the Go 3, an increased resolution of 4K has been introduced, and the colors and therefore the image quality in general has been improved. However, the small form factor and small image sensor of the Go 3S naturally also lead to disadvantages, especially in comparison to the Ace Pro. In terms of image quality, the Go 3S cannot quite keep up with its bigger brother. As mentioned, this is particularly noticeable in low light. And for slow motion shots, you have to reduce the resolution to 2.7K for 100 frames per second, for example. I can give the all clear for overheating and battery life. The Go 3S has no particular problem with overheating, and if you use it in the action pod, you can shoot for more than 2 hours until the battery runs out. What you should also know about the Go 3S is that the battery and memory are both fixed. This has to do with the concept of the Go 3S. But you should know that you can neither replace the battery nor change the SD card, although you can of course download the recordings to your smartphone when traveling. We've now seen the major strengths and weaknesses of all three cameras, and I've already shown you a number of comparison shots, but I'd like to show you a few more shots, because there are still a few surprising differences that you should know about. Although the Ace Pro certainly takes the best shots in this comparison, I would say that all three cameras take very good shots, especially in good lighting conditions. The colors look good on all three cameras. What is noticeable is that the Ace Pro produces perhaps the most contrasty look and emphasizes contrasts at the edges the most. The images from the X4 and Go 3S look a little softer overall, but the difference in image quality is not as great as when comparing the Ace Pro with the X3 and the Go 3. However, the Ace Pro still takes by far the best shots in low light conditions. You should definitely bear this in mind if you are thinking about buying one of these cameras. It's interesting to note that the X4 has by far the widest field of view of all three cameras. It's significantly wider than the field of view of the Ace Pro and the Go3S. This is of course an advantage, especially when used as an action camera. The field of view of the Go3S and the Ace Pro are very similar. It corresponds to that of a classic action camera. And there's something else I find interesting. The X4 has the best stabilization in this comparison. Of course, this is also due to the extremely wide field of view, which is an advantage when it comes to stabilization. In a direct comparison with the Ace Pro, you can see that the X4 stabilizes the shots better, but the Go3S also stabilizes the shots very well and about as well as the Ace Pro. Stabilization is therefore not a decisive weak point of the small Go3S. What can be a major disadvantage, however, is that the Go3S, unlike the other two cameras, does not support external microphones. The Go3S supports gesture control like the other two cameras, but does not feature the AI Highlights Assistant, which can simplify and speed up the automatic creation of clips. I think you now know the main advantages and disadvantages of these three Insta360 cameras. To make your choice even easier, I've created 5 categories of users and will tell you which camera I think is the most suitable for each category. If you don't own an action camera yet and have hardly any experience with cameras, then I would recommend the Ace Pro. You certainly can't go wrong with it, and you'll be very satisfied. It's very easy to use, so it's easy to get started, and it produces excellent shots in the standard settings. The workflow is simple, you don't have to do any reframing, and you can simply transfer your files to your computer using the SD card. If you don't need the best image quality, the Go3S would be a good alternative for you. Its small form factor makes for super cool and special videos. If, on the other hand, you already have experience with action cameras, do a lot of sport, film yourself frequently, and perhaps already have an older action camera, for example a GoPro lying around at home, then take the X4. It opens up a whole new world of action shots. The reframing, the invisible selfie stick effect, and the extremely wide field of view enable completely new, unusual and creative shots. It's simply fun to experience something new. If you're not interested in a 360 camera, I recommend the Ace Pro. No matter which older action camera you own, you will make a huge leap in quality with the Ace Pro, and the flip screen is super practical. If you mainly create videos for social media, and by that I mean vertical videos for TikTok or Instagram, rather than classic YouTube videos, then get the Go3S. The image quality is perfectly adequate for this, and the small form factor allows you to make fun and creative videos particularly well. It also has a square sensor and is ideal for vertical videos. The Action Pod's flip screen is also ideal for vlogging. The only disadvantage is that no external microphone can be connected. Especially for vlogging, the Ace Pro would of course be an interesting alternative with better image quality and the option of connecting an external microphone. If on the other hand you practice sports intensively and want to have an action camera to take the best possible shots of your sport, then for me the optimal camera depends on the type of sport and the mount you use. If you mainly film with a chest mount, for example when biking or skiing, then I recommend the Ace Pro. It's easier to mount on the chest mount than the X4 and the weight is not a negative factor. A 360 camera is of little use on a chest mount. If on the other hand you film a lot with the pole, then go for the X4. The invisible selfie stick effect and the wide angle are simply a decisive advantage here. The Go3S is ideal for use on a helmet. It weighs very little and you can easily check the framing with the Action Pod. And for the family or as a travel camera, I would go for the Ace Pro. As I said, it's the easiest to use and very importantly, you'll clearly take the best shots in low light conditions and therefore also indoors, which can be important when filming the family and also when traveling. As a purely fun camera, I would go for the Go3S as an alternative. Especially without the Action Pod, it's very robust, almost impossible to break, can be mounted anywhere and the quality is perfectly adequate for family shots. As I said, you will find a link to all 3 cameras in the video description. Take a look at the current prices, as there are often special offers. If you use the links in the description, you will normally also receive a free gift. And if you want to know more about the cameras in this comparison, you can find more tests and tutorials for all 3 cameras on my channel. I'll put links to the best videos in the video description. Give me a like as feedback if the video was interesting for you. There will be more videos about cameras from Insta360, so stay tuned and see you next time.